Okay, I was going over my videos, and I'm much better at writing. I should probably stick to writing rather than talking. I'm not very good at it, but I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. What I was trying to get at with the Rawsome's food is basically anybody who's involved in this, you need to look at all the contracts you have in play, because you have every right to do this. So there's some type of contract in play that's granting them this jurisdiction, or this idea of jurisdiction that they think they have. They think they have some kind of oath, affirmation, or contract in play that's giving them the right to make these claims against you. So you need to just look at every avenue of that. Anything they put out, any piece of anything, just try and define every word. You would be surprised. I recently built up a religious freedom defense for a friend of mine who unfortunately doesn't have the faith to stand on it, but in an attempt to define the words, and I got this idea from the Alex Jones radio show, from a guest he had on. If I can remember his name, I'll put it on here. But he talked about how there are drug laws, and if you're trying to define the word drug, which I attempted to do, I found I had to dig 5 books deep and 5 references deep, and when I did, I finally did get to that place where it defines man or other animals. It claims that, and that's how they're doing this, is claiming that you are basically an animal, and you know, if that goes against your religious foundation, then, and you don't believe you're an animal, which I'm not an animal. You can believe you're an animal all you want. That's your problem. But that's what they're basing these statutes and acts on, which of course, you know, statutes and acts are the rules of a society given the force of law through consent. They are not laws, they are rules. And, you know, they're, you know, consensual in nature. And you have to look at your bond to these rules and how they're enforcing these rules upon you. We have the freedom, we have the lawful ability, the common law, the way we can beat these people, but we have to first educate ourselves so that we can tear their scam apart. It's all based on legalese and majorly on intimidation, coercion, threats. Do not waver. Do not ever give up in your beliefs. Don't ever waver in what you believe in. That's what they want you to do. They want you to sacrifice it all so that they can have it. And we've declared our rights in this country, and unfortunately we're going to have to do it again. And we have to declare, you know, our independence. We declare our sovereignty and let them know that, you know, you are not their subject. They are not your master. They are not your God. Alex Jones show he has a guy, a preacher, Pat Williams, is it, that comes on his show, and this guy talks about, he's in touch with the elites, and he's got all I don't really trust the guy, but he he's had some pretty good info, and then he's turned out to be right. But anyways, he talks about how these elites talk about how we had to replace your God. Well, that's exactly what they did. They've turned government into God. This government is playing God. It is assuming the role of God. I mean, they don't have the right to do any of this crap, people. Most of what they do is well outside of law, well outside of the restrictions that has been placed upon them. Treason has been the name of the game for over 50 years. It's completely out of control. And all you got to do is educate yourself, and you will start to see how absurd and how far gone things are anymore, and you'll start to see how it's being implemented, and seeing how, you know, the public schools, how they're dumbing them down. I mean, every single year we get a whole new fresh crop of just morons. These people are idiots because they've been taught to be idiots. They're victims of an evil system. They're not being really educated. They're not being taught to be free thinkers. The whole system just works around getting around the critical thinking centers and the logical centers, and you know, it's you know, if you have children, if you can, get them out of public school. Do not send them there. The damage that they're doing to your children will take years to undo. Just in the same way that people right now who are just starting to wake up and starting to question some of the pillars of their life and the bigger questions in government, they're finding it very difficult. It takes a long time to pull yourself out of it, because you were run through this from birth. This is generations deep now, people. They brought in the Federal Reserve in 1913, and if you look at Woodrow Wilson, you look at his writings and his regrets that's some of the things he talked about was he didn't realize, supposedly, I'm not sure this is true, but he supposedly didn't realize or understand it at the time, but later on he started to grasp what the Federal Reserve was and the real power that it had, and that he deeply regretted what he had done. And he basically, you should look into that, look on the internet, it's out there. You can read his writings about his regrets about the Federal Reserve. And try and understand our currency is everything. It is our energy, it is our labor, it is our resources, our land. This is why our states are becoming so cannibalistic, and all our city governments and local governments are being so cannibalistic and going crazy, and where everything is getting really out of control because of the Federal Reserve. It's really sad, because if you look at the comprehensive annual financial reports, if you've done your research, you'll realize that there's actually a ton of wealth in the states and in this country. We are actually, most of us are very wealthy. The problem is we're being robbed at a scale that you would not believe. The Reagan administration, they found out that the income tax that you're paying goes to do one thing: pay down the interest on the Federal Reserve, the debt owed to the Federal Reserve. We only owe it because we're using it. Why? All right.